Get started in a few minutes.
Yeah.
Do a little Shabbat stretching. How's everybody? Good. Anybody have anything interesting to talk about that they had something great from their week? Maury, what happened good for you this week?
She broke a foot. No?
What happened? Sprained it. Okay, but it wasn't a break, so there's. Okay. Shabbat shalom. It's good to see you. Anybody else have a story they want to share this week? Something nice that happened? We've got Leah over here who's about to have something good happen tomorrow morning.
You bet.
She's been working hard for her bat mitzvah.
She has.
She's going to lead us tonight with her family, with our candle blessings, and later on with Kiddush, and then tomorrow with the whole shebang, right?
Shebang day tomorrow.
The whole shebang.
You betcha.
The Cranes are here. Shabbat shalom.
Hi.
What a nice crowd. Hi, how are you? Shabbat shalom. Good to see you. All right. I think we're going to get started.
Almost.
Yeah.
You have a few seconds to, as they say,
but
talk amongst yourselves.
Discuss. Don't go too far, Carol.
It is amazing how the crowd does show up at 6:29.
Yep.
Not a minute before.
No.
That's the Alberts.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Thank you for being here tonight with us. We're going to have a nice, soulful Shabbat together. We're going to roll it back just a few years to some of our beautiful and amazing predecessors of composers. We're going to start with a folk version of Hine Matov, which means how great it is to be together. And really, it truly is. I've been waiting for this all week long, so I hope you're in the mood too. And then after that, we're going to talk to Shula a little bit about what Shalom Aleichem means, and then go right into our service. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam ya. You remember this from your youth. Come on. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad.
So I do want to welcome everyone. I thought.
Tov u'manayim shevet achim
gam yachad.
We have just a little bit more warm up to do. Tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, hine matov. Yalla lai, yalla lai, yalla la 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 la. Hine matov, hine matov, hine matov. Yalla lai, yalla lai, yalla la 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 la. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Shabbat shalom.
I think now must be my moment.
It is.
This is the long-awaited moment where I get to say welcome. I was working very hard on saying it nicely. So I want to welcome not only you, but those out there in cyberspace. we are thrilled to be able to be together, as you heard Kim say so beautifully. It is lovely to be together, and we are in fact together even though you are on the other side over there, because souls know no distance, nor do they know labels. Souls connect, and we are connected regardless of where you're at. So just in case, a little bit of housekeeping for you who are here. Out that door to the right and left are the restrooms. If there are any little tiny kids who feel that they have to say things or be louder than necessary, there's a quiet room out there. And also for you to know before we start, because Shabbat music has a lot of joy always attached to it. It's meant to. Shabbat is joyous. It's holy, it's joyous, it's meant to cleanse the soul. But I want you to know that while that happens, we never forget those of our members, those of our friends, of our brothers and sisters who may be in mourning, suffering a loss. Know that even while we rejoice, you are in our hearts. We know that you are in sorrow. And even while we rejoice and love our Shabbat, we still suffer and are sad with you. I want you to know that is the case. One of the lovelier midrashim in the Talmud is the fact that every rabbis have said, they made it up, of course, as midrashim are little made-up things, but meant to teach something or to send a message. And so here they taught that every Jew on Shabbat has two angels accompanying them when they go home from synagogue or from prayer, one good one and one not so good one. They even say, in the Talmud, they say an evil one. I say a sourpuss, more or less. And the way that works in that midrash, they say that when the person with the two angels arrives at home, if the home is in a Shabbat welcoming mode, in other words, it's peaceful, it's prepared, everything is, everybody's ready for it, and the whole mode of the people and the house are for Shabbat, then the good angel immediately bestows a wonderful blessing and says, this is wonderful Shabbat Shalom, and may this fabulous Shabbat be exactly this way for you next week. If, for some very unusual reason, they arrive at home and the house is not in Shabbat welcoming mode, this is all in the Midrash, I'm not making that one up. It's not in welcoming mode. The sourpuss snickers and says, "Ha! Your Shabbat next week is going to be exactly the same mess as this one." I decided to interpret it differently. When I sing this song or I hear this song, I think that the two angels are really there if we are serious about doing our best to shed the week. Just for the hour. Not think of the stresses and the things that bother us during the week, the everyday stuff, the mundane. If we can do this during our time here, I believe the good one and the slightly unruly sourpuss, they really are both there holding our hand by invitation and bestowing the Shabbat blessing on us. And that is how I want us to think of Shalom Aleichem as we sing it together.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boechem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
May I take that little microphone?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay, let's beat it up. Now it is my very distinct pleasure and honor to call about the very lovely Leah Kruger and family to come and light our Shabbat candles. Leah will become bat mitzvah tomorrow, and this is her first task. One down, 999 to go. First, you want to light it. So somebody with good, yeah. Go ahead.
Please stand. We're going to look at the light, and we're going to wave it in 3 times, bring in the Shabbat, and then close our eyes so we can keep that light right in front of our eyes. 1, 2, 3.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Yasher koach.
Good job.
Very
Have a
nice.
seat. Rest a little.
Please be seated.
You know, whenever we come to L'Chadodi, I always talk to you about the romantic metaphor here of bride and groom and so on. But I thought today, since you've heard me say it many times, and I'm sure in my lifetime you'll hear me say it many more times, but I wanted to really remind you, or even tell you in case you didn't know, that this romance metaphor was not their invention of those mystical rabbis in Tzfat in the 16th century, you know. That really was invented earlier in a book in the Bible, a book called Shir HaShirim, the Song of Songs. I don't know if some of you don't even know about that book. It is a very interesting and unusual book in that the entire book is a metaphor of romantic love poetry. And when I say romantic, some of it borders on explicit. It is very, very physically, gorgeously specific in many ways, but it's in the Bible. And many questions had been asked. How did it find its way to the Bible and why? And all sorts of reasons have come up and so on, all very interesting. And I, frankly, myself have struggled with it a lot, wondering why that one got in. But the most accepted answer to that question by rabbis and scholars is that this is, in fact, the book, the Song of Songs, is a metaphor, a symbol of the love of God to his people. And they have just decided to write it in the most extraordinary, poetic, romantic form of love poetry. Many of the lines in that book have then made into songs. All have been picked out for lots of little songs and have been put to music. So I wanted you to know that Lecha Dodi is great romance, Shabbat and all that, but the real invention of that idea to put it in such a beautiful framework of holiness and with God extremely present in it came from the book, The Song of Songs. So think romantic and let's do Lecha Dodi.
We're doing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9.
Page 18.
Lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, panei panei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, panei panei Shabbat nikabela la la. Lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, panei panei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, panei panei Shabbat nikabela. Verse 1, Shamor. Shamor b'zachor b'dibur echad, hishmi'anu elam yachad, Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, l'shem ol tifereti la 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 lecha dodi, likrat kala, panei panei Shabbat nikabela. Likrat kala, panei panei Shabbat nikabela. Likrat Shabbat, lechu v'nelcha, ki mikor haberacha, mirosh mikedem nesucha. Sof ma'aseh b'machshavatik la 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 lecha dodi. Likrat kala, panei panei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, panei panei Shabbat nikabela. Hitoreri, kiva orech kumiori, uri, shir daberi. Kevod Adonai lichach nidla lecha dodi, likrat kala, panei panei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, panei panei Shabbat nikabela. Now we're going to stand, face the door, and welcome the Shabbat bride. Boi v'shalom, ateret bala, gam b'simcha ובצולה, תוך אמוני עם הסגולה, בואי כלה, בואי כלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת לקראת כלה, פני פני שבת, נקבלה לה לה, לך לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני פני שבת, נקבלה, לך לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני פני שבת, נקבלה.
All right, we're about to end the warm-up part of the service with a Chatzi Kaddish and the Baruch, which is the actual formal beginning of the service itself. (22)
Yitkada v'yitkada shemei Rabba. Ve'amad yivrach yirutei v'yamlich machutei. B'chayechon u'vyom echon. U'chayei d'kol beit Yisrael. Bagala u'vizman kariv. Ve'yimeru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach Le'olam u'olam me'omaya Yitbarach Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal Shemei dekudesha Brichu Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechem ata Damiran v'yama v'yimeru Amen.
Please stand for Baruch Hu. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed. Please be seated. Going into God of Creation, page 26. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro mariv varavim b'chokhma poteach she'arim. God of creation. God of creation, who makes the evening fall from light into darkness with the setting of the sun. You unfold the heavens with brilliant moon and stars and wrap our souls with peace. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro mariv aravim bechokma poteach she'arim baruch atah Adonai Hamarim Aravim.
Keep going. Ahavat olam.
V'avatcha al tasir mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohev amo Yisrael.
Amen.
We're going to move into the Shema, and I came back from a conference a couple weeks ago, and a rabbi by the name of Sharon Brous, maybe some of you have heard of her. She's up in LA at Ikar, and she did the most wonderful Shema exercise with us before we headed into the chanting of it. And she went, when we quiet ourselves and we think about Echad, one, we have to be quiet and so we can listen. So we say, shh, not like you're shushing someone, just shh, quiet. And then we get the feeling, and then, try it with me. Nice. Then we cover our eyes so we can just think about God as we're talking to the one. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu.
Please rise.
Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Avad.
Have a seat as you get settled for the Vahafta, which we're about to hear. I just wanted to remind you of a little factoid that maybe some of you forget, which, by the way, also holds true for a prayer we'll be doing a little bit down the list, the Vishamru. The Vahafta is not a prayer. The Vishamru is not a prayer. They are just paragraphs out of Torah, lifted out as is and planted in the Siddur, in the prayer book. So be aware that the prayer book doesn't only have beautifully composed, beautifully invented poetry of magnificent poets, but it also has, in several places, biblical sections lifted as is and placed in the prayer book to be part of our daily experience. V'ahavta is one of them.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha v'chayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shiftecha b'beitecha u'v'leftecha b'derech u'shokpecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam leot al yedecha v'chayu l'totafot beinenecha, ufraftam al mezuzot beitecha, uvisharecha, leman tiskaru, va'asitem et kol mitzvotai, v'yitem kidoshim lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohim, Asher Hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Moving into page 37, the Micha Mocha. The one we're doing tonight is by Cantor Natalie Young, and it's almost a hymn. Like we can envision ourselves on the shores as we're ready, as the seas are parting, as we sing the Micha Mocha. Micha Mocha Baeli Adonai, mi kamocha ne'edar b'kodesh, nora tehilot o seifelet, Nora tehilot, o seifelet, malchutecha ra'u vanecha, bokei hayam, Livnei Moshe, Zeili anu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai God Yisrael.
I've talked to you about the Hashkivenu before, and you heard me say many times that it's the parental thing, you know, the Father, God Father, and please lay us down so we can feel safe and spread over us like a blanket of peace. But I really wanted to focus today on two words that are in there, mostly because you can't help but hear the news of what's going on. And there are two words in there. We're asking God to spread over us Sukkat Shalom, a sukkah of peace. And so you can really wonder, said I to myself, why the word sukkah is used here for shalom. The fact of the matter is, sukkah is a fragile thing, right? We know from Sukkot. The wind can do things to it. It's not firm. And when we're asking fervently and passionately for shalom, for peace, why doesn't it say a palace of peace? You know, give us a palace or a mansion or a strong thing. Why a sukkah, which is that fragile? But I think it's not accidental, and God knows, listening and watching to news this week and any other, you realize because shalom is so fragile. Shalom is desperately fragile. It can easily be destroyed because of things happening from who knows what horrible deeds that may happen. What it means, just like with the sukkah, even if for a moment there seems to be a peaceful event, like a sukkah, it could be brief, no guarantee for permanence. So the metaphor for sukkah is extremely meaningful because shalom is not a given, but it is really a process that requires care and work and so on. And the openness of, if you've ever been to a sukkah, built a sukkah, seen a sukkah, there's some walls are open and the walls can, if they're sheets, they can fly in the wind. Even that, I think, is a metaphor we can use because peace requires an openness to things from all sides. Can't be closed. Can't be closed. And so that's really what I want to think about when we listen to the Hashkivenu, when we sing the Hashkivenu today. These two words, Sukkat Shalom, are a concise but precise description of where we're at right now with what's going on out there.
Hashkivenu is on page 39. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomereinu l'chaim. Many of you know it. Come on and sing with me. Come on. Hashkivenu Adonai. Nice. Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomereinu l'chaim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomereinu l'chaim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomereinu l'chaim. 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 One last time. Come on. L'chaim.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. All right, we're going to kick it up just a bit with Vishamru. Vishamru, V'nei Yisrael, et HaShabbat, page 41. V'nei Yisrael, et HaShabbat, Vishamru, V'nei Yisrael, et HaShabbat, Vishamru, V'nei Yisrael, et HaShabbat, La'asot, et HaShabbat.
לדורותם ברית עולם, ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת. ביני ובין בני ישראל עוד היא לעולם, עוד היא לעולם. Come on. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת. וביום, כי ששת. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, וינפש, וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת. Can you do us a little instrumental? Come on, Carol. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת.
Very cool. All right, we're going to move into the Amidah, talk to God just a little bit. If you want to open up your books to page 45, you can follow the words in your prayer books, your Sidurim, or you can follow the ones in your heart and whatever is on your mind today. Please stand.
Open up our eyes, teach us how to live, fill our hearts with joy and all the love you have to give. Gather us in peace as you lead us to your name, and we will know that you are one. Yes, we will know that you are one.
Shalom Rav, page 57. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Bechol ve'enecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. One last time, come on. Tasim Leolam.
So this week's parasha is called Vayakhel, as you and I know, don't we, Leah? When reading this week's parasha, I decided not to come to you with a singular grand teaching, but with smaller nuggets, each with its own little message. And I have to admit that the first one jumped at me even before the start of Parashat Vayakhel. It was in the very, very last words of the previous parasha, which said, V'ra'u v'nei Yisrael et pnei Moshe ki karan or pnei Moshe. What that means is when Moses came down from the mountain, remember he was holding the tablets, right? His face had a shine. It radiated light. The Hebrew word karan, which means, the shine, the light, the ray of light, comes from the word keren, which means a ray of shining light. Very, very amazing visual, if you can imagine a person having that coming from them. But the way it often is in Hebrew, words have more than one meaning, right? And so it so happens that the word keren has several meanings. One other of its meanings is, and by the way, totally unrelated, is that keren means also horn. Not a ray of sun or a ray of light, but horn, like what an animal has, a bull or whatever. So imagine my surprise when I was a teenager on a trip to Rome with my parents, when I stood in front of Michelangelo's famous statue of Moses, noticing, horrified, that this beautiful work of art depicting our greatest leader ever, Moses, was sculpted with two little horns on his head. I couldn't understand it. I was a teenager, came out of Israel, knew nothing of what's going on. And so it was explained to me that it was based on the verse in Exodus, which I knew very well, which had nothing to do with horns, and that apparently the Italian translator decided hundreds of years earlier to use the translation of horns. Michelangelo adopted that one. Unquestioning, he saw it, Italian, said, horns. And so he immortalized that in that exquisitely fabulous statue for all eternity. Unfortunately, many anti-Semites believed from that moment on that Jews do have horns. I don't know if you've heard that. Some do, right? Which puts them in league with the devil. That's so sad. And so, first nugget message to you is always be very wary of translations. Don't trust them immediately. Don't. Still lingering for a moment with the words just before Vayakhel begins, there was another moment where it talks about Moses, coming down. He was coming down with the second set of tablets. Remember, the first tablets he smashed because they were bad and they created the golden calf and so on. And what it said there is different than what it said on the first one. The first one, it said that God carved and created the tablets, handed them to Moses. Now we know those didn't make it because he broke them in anger. But interestingly, right before Vayakhel, it tells us about the second set that Moses himself carved these from the rock. That's very important because this was not handed to Moses, and I believe there is a sort of a nugget message buried there that says something like, you are elevated, you are changed by the actions that you do, not by stuff that just falls into your lap that is given to you. So that's another important message. Do it. Don't wait it just to come to you if you want it to have meaning. All right, now we've arrived at Vayakhel. The interesting thing about the word Vayakhel, it comes, of course, Kehillah comes from that, which is congregation. And it tells us that Moses congregated everyone together there. What's kind of interesting about that fact is that Moses had never done that before. He had never asked the entire population that was with him in the wilderness to gather together into one massive group in order to tell them something. So that was also interesting because he finally realized you really can't do it alone. According to the Torah, there were hundreds of thousands of people there. Whether they were that many or not, we're not sure, but there were a lot of people. And you really can't run anything of a lot of people being one alone. So it is just a reminder to us how important it is to be part of a community where everything can be parceled out to people who can do it, want to do it, will do it well, and get it done. And that is what Kehillah means, and we live it right here at Temple. I mean, that's what synagogues and congregations do. The committees, the volunteers, the this. So there is, the word Vayakhel really embraces that concept. And that reminded me of something interesting also, that they've never done it in my house, but I think we should start this year. I heard just a couple of years ago that in some families on Pesach, on Passover, with a cup of Elijah in the middle of the table, remember there is a cup of Elijah in the middle, right? That initially people place it empty, and that everyone pours a little bit from their cup of wine into it. And what's a beautiful symbol about that is, and that's very, very much a concept of Reform Judaism, that it is we together can bring redemption. That's how redemption will come. Again, not drop into our lap by some miraculous figure that may or may not show up, but we together can bring redemption. And by putting it into the cup of the Redeemer on Pesach, we say it. I did like that, and Vayakel reminded me of that. But I have a final nugget for you, and needless to say, my thoughts, whenever they do any kind of wandering, they wander to music, because that's who I am. And so, aside from the fact that when we sing together, it's already part of a kehillah singing, I was reminded of a wonderful story that I read as a kid in Israel, in Jerusalem, going to school, by a wonderful author called Yod Lamed Peretz. Here they would call him Y.L. Peretz, and his writings are available in English as well. And I remember we read a story that he wrote that for some reason remained with me forever. And because it had a scene, there was a scene in it that remained with me forever. And it talked about a man who was the head of a family in which everyone played a musical instrument. Everyone played a musical instrument. And so he was the leader of the band at home. And so he lay on his deathbed, dying. And so he called his children in for the final moments of his life. And he said, "Everyone, go get your instrument." Okay. They went, they got their instrument. And he said, "Now play." And they did. They began to play. And they played together. They played together as a band, as a kehillah, as a community. And I can never forget the line that ended the story. It said, "And the little house was filled with music." And that's how I see us, actually. I see us as God's orchestra. We, the humans, are God's orchestra, called upon to take up each our instrument, many different ones. Doesn't matter which. Take up our instrument, look at the world around, take a deep breath, and play so that this little house, namely God's world, can be filled with the shining radiance of God's music. That's our wish for us. That's our message for us. That's how we can try to look at how we live our lives. Shabbat Shalom. Well, speaking about music, let's talk about healing because they are very closely associated. I'll call on each side to call out names that you want the Mishaberach sung for. And let's begin. Huh? And the relationship. All right. Even better. So, name and relationship. Let's hear it. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. I will add. Did we have more? Oh, well, you. Yes. Thank you. Yes. Yes. More. Thank you. All right. I will add my cousin, David Herman. I will add Jeffrey Greer, my dear friend. That's it for now.
My Aunt Marilee Brown.
Okay.
I'm going to sing some healing prayers for them now. The Misham Berach, which is on
63 maybe?
yes, page 63. Mishaberach Avoteinu Mekor habracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishaberach Imotenu Mekor habracha Leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Please stand for Aleinu, which is on page
Actually,
64.
is it Aleinu? Yeah, it is Aleinu time.
Page 64. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, lateit gedula leotzer vreshit, shelo asanu kigoye ha'aratzot, velo samanu kemishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam helkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו אחד.
We're going to now remember those among us, talk about Kehillah, those in our Kehillah whom we have lost both recently and in the past. We mourn the very recent loss of Francine Albert, mother of Norman Albert, mother-in-law of Carol Singer, and grandmother of Melanie and Rose Albert. We mourn the recent loss of Frank Gray, beloved father of our member Claudine Levine, Myrna Engler, beloved mother of our member Neil Engler, Ruth Lupel, beloved mother of our member Charles Lupel, and Stephen Pauker, beloved brother of our member Ken Pauker. We continue to remember our members' parents who died this past year, Morton Bramson, Martin Cole, Esther Shapiro, and Libby Zweig. This week, we observe the following yahrzeits. These names reflect the current week from the last Sunday to this Shabbat. If your custom is to observe the week going forward, or if your loved one's name is not on the list, please say the name of your loved one as we go around the room. Is there anyone who you are sure is not on the list whom you wish to remember today? Okay. If it's your custom to rise, it's on page 73. Please rise. As I've explained many times, I always rise because I always figure there's somebody out there for whom no one has ever said Kaddish and should, especially among the 6 million Holocaust survivors, Holocaust victims. So I always rise. Join me on 73. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה. בעולמה דברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי. בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא. ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן. And now, I believe, is the moment.
Announcements.
And that is, yes, our board member, and I see one sitting right in front of me, Abby.
Do you want to come up and make announcements?
You are the one who gets lucky enough to do the announcements. I read them. Oh. Stay tuned. Are you ready?
Thank you.
Bill Adler, Edna Amin, Bilha Bender, Irene Breisacker, Aaron Brenner, Martin Brown, Saul Kaplan, Isaac Dewan, Jack Elson, Beth Hervais, Mariska Frankel, Ralph Glattman, Sheldon Goldman, Mrs. Celia Goodman, Patricia Gumbiner, Stanley Martin Joseph, Marshall Noah Katz, Alton Elliott Knight, Sylvia Lazarus, Diane Lem, Elizabeth Levine, Gladys Lindheimer, Leslie Lipton, Charlotte Marcus, Edward Musquette, Asia or Aisha Maslinsky, Victor Samuel Morhaime, Edith Nahan, Joe Noble, Harold Norman, Charles Parmett, Aya Peleg, Alan Perlow, David Pollack, Morris Queen, Martin Reich, Ilona Reese, Joseph Robbins, Irving Rosen, Les Rothberg, Sidney Sabsovitz, Celia Sachs, Leon Safran, Ruth Sandler, Mark Scholnick, Elsie Shapiro, Walter Sommerfeld, Alan Stark, Gertrude Strauss, Flora Towell, Robert Turner, Ava Ullman, Sarah Weiss Warshaw, John Allen Wise. May I add, this is a perfect example why Kehillah is needed. This is a community moment where someone in the community reminded what was almost forgotten. That was a very good thing. Thank you so much. That was a very good thing. I appreciate that. First of all, I'm sorry. But secondly, Kehillah in action. You did it. Happy to have done it. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And now you can come and read. They are printed out. Reading is all the skill you need for this.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom. That is meaningful. That was my brother who I lost 2 years ago. Is it not up? Okay. That meant a lot to me because my Kehillah is here. I am observing the yahrzeit of my brother who I lost 2 years ago. Mark Skolnick. Oh, that's my maiden name.
Who knew?
Who knew?
Who knew? Miss Skolnick.
Yes, I've been a Rubenstein longer than a Skolnick. Thank you to Kendra Shula and our cantorial soloist, Kim Gubner, and our wonderful musician. And we have other choir members who are here, yes, and I really enjoyed you behind me harmonizing with Kim, hearing that. I don't know if the rest of you were able to hear that. It's quite beautiful. Mazel tov to Leah and the entire Kruger family on her becoming a bat mitzvah. Please join us tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. as she is called to the Torah. That's very, very important. Also join us tomorrow morning at 9:15 for our conservative service, followed by a Kiddush luncheon and lunch and learn on money and power, led by Rabbi Kavod Weider. Please consider sponsoring an oneg or Kiddush in honor of someone or something, or in memory of a loved one. All the details can be found on the website, but just a few things to note. Torah study is available via Zoom on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Oh, there's a lot of stuff. There's still time to register for the annual women's retreat starting on April 12th. Tuesdays at 9 a.m. on Zoom is our meditation and spiritual practice, starting the day with calming reflections and guided meditation. For anyone in need of a little extra support, our healing service is every Tuesday on Zoom at 6:30 p.m. Thursday, March 14th at 9:30 a.m. is our men's club breakfast at the Broken Yoke. From March 6th to April 10th, in partnership with Vitas, our grief support group starts to help with coping with loss. On March 21st, drawing strength from Queen Esther, a community prayer and sharing circle starting at 12 p.m. in the Packer Family Library. On March 23rd is the Purim Extravaganza, which will include a children's costume parade, 2 Megillah readings, great food, and a magic show. And then on March 30th, we will have a special Saturday morning service with Rabbi Marcia Tilchin, is that how you pronounce it? Tilchin, and Rabbi Kavod, featuring the music of Jason Fetty on guitar and Ron Levy on piano at 9:15 in the chapel. Please join us for a morning of Shabbat experiences and for all ages with Tat Shabbat and Family Shabbat services with Scott Spitzer beginning at 10 a.m. And please keep an eye out for our May clothing drive benefiting Laura's House and sponsored by Bee Sisters. Anything else?
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
We always like to send a taste of Shabbat home to somebody,
Well
to
done.
people who would have liked to have been here tonight but couldn't. So we ask that you take this challah to that person, wish them a Shabbat Shalom. You can do it tonight. You could do it tomorrow. After that, it's probably going to be stale, so probably not a good idea. Is anybody going Where's my little helper? Come here, my Shabbat angel here. You're going to help me deliver this, okay? I'm going to give this to you. And whoever raises their hand to take a Laguna Niguel challah, run to them. Ready? Laguna Niguel. Yes. Very cool. Okay, come get your second one. There's another one. Okay, get ready. For
Mission Viejo.
Mission Viejo.
Mission Viejo.
Who's going to mission? Right over here. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for bringing them a sweet taste of Shabbat.
And now, Leah, sooner than later, you are on with Kiddush. Let's get the family Kruger up here.
You want your brother to hold the challah?
We'll start with a Kiddush.
Just hold this, and when I tell you, you can hold it up high, okay? All right, here we go.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitchanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'hava uvratzon hilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reishi ki hu yom tehila למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, אותנו קידשת, מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך, באהבה וברצון, הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Okay, booze it up.
Is it the good stuff? No. It's the cough syrup. Okay. All right. Ready for Hamotzi? Hold it high up.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
B'teavon, we're going to have some more challah and wine in the other room, and you can put that down. And we're going to end with Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom bimramav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'yimru, imru, amen. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. All right, Shabbat shalom, everybody.
And the little house was filled with music.
Yes. We'll meet you in the
Shabbat
banquet
shalom.
hall.
Thank you. Well done, and you look beautiful. 9 a.m. tomorrow. After, we're going to have a discussion with him, which microphone.